At first, I didn't give much thought to Emily's announcement that she would be working late. After all, we were both juggling very demanding careers. I was a financial analyst and she was a marketing manager. I'll be the first to say that our jobs have always been more important to us than our marriage, putting our date evenings and laughter together on the back burner. Something started to bother me, though, after the third or fourth occurrence in as many weeks. Emily began to put more effort into her work attire, with somewhat more dramatic makeup and a longer-lasting scent than before. It was imperceptible at first, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was nothing, I told myself. I was just being paranoid. After 10 years of marriage, a home we had created together, discussions about starting a family, and the adoption of a dog, I felt comfortable trusting Emily. But the uncertainty was sneaky. It crept into my thoughts in the stillness. During one of our somber dinners together, I felt compelled to bring it up. Making an effort to appear casual, I mentioned that work has been keeping you somewhat busy recently. Her gaze shifted from her plate to her guarded eyes. There will be major campaigns soon. There were many late hours. Something about her steady, polished response twisted my gut. To avoid coming across as accusing, I nodded and let it fall. Her phone beeped on the nightstand that night while she was in the shower. I took a quick look and saw that Stacy had sent a message. Stacy, who lived across the nation, was one of Emily's closest friends, and I knew her. Tonight was absolutely incredible. The teaser sent. Looking forward to seeing you soon. I felt my heart thump against my rib cage in a very painful way. As the ugliness of the situation became clear, a hole appeared in my gut. At that same moment I could have challenged her, but I refrained. I opted to verify my suspicions first instead. I pretended to ask her out to lunch for a week before calling her office. Every time Emily departed for a meeting, her secretary would let me know. On a couple of occasions, I saw that her car was gone when I was driving past her office building. Everything came to a head on a Thursday night. She pretended to be exhausted as she informed me that she would be working late once again. I drove to her office after waiting an hour for her to give me the go-ahead. I was no longer startled when I noticed that her automobile wasn't in the lot. I was resolute, so I signed into the phone we used together. The otherwise unremarkable phone records and messages she had been receiving showed a number she had been corresponding with often, a number that did not belong to anyone she knew. Through a burner phone, my trembling palms dialed the number. A man's voice responded, carefree and unconcerned. "Do you miss me already, darling?" I hung up the phone after letting the awkward quiet crush him. Anger and sadness weighed heavily on my chest. I drifted through the night, remembering every detail of our marriage and analyzing her every deceit. I hatched my scheme first thing in the morning. My worst suspicions were soon validated by the private investigator I retained. It wasn't simply infidelity. Emily was leading two completely different lives. Weekends, business travels were places of romance. We would meet at his apartment for dinners and late-night gatherings. I needed vengeance, but not the kind that would put me in prison or destroy my life. I yearned for a fair trial where she faced just the repercussions of her decisions. As proof, I collected photographs, texts, and call logs. As I got ready for the divorce that was bound to happen, I made sure everything could be used in court. However, I intended to confront her lover before I really shot her. David was her coworker. He was single, arrogant, and unaware of the impending storm. Even though I knew Emily would be inside, I still showed up at his apartment one night. He stood there, startled to see me, as the door sprang open. "Can I be of any assistance to you?" he mumbled, his anger evident. I said with a chilly tone, "Yeah, you can," as I pushed my way inside. In the living room, Emily stood still, her face as pale as a sheet. "You informed me that you were working late," I told her, using every word as a weapon. "We worked hard on this, and now you're just destroying it." I became even more aggressive than before, and David attempted to intervene, but I turned the tables on him. "Were you aware that she had a husband? Did she also deceive you?" He gulped, his gaze darting back and forth between us. "Yeah, I was unaware." "Fuck you," I exclaimed, drawing nearer until our faces met. "Despite knowing, you showed no concern." It was a pitiful, tremulous sound, but Emily's voice was finally coming out. Maybe we should discuss this when we're alone. I interrupted her since we were talking about nothing. I threw the evidence envelope onto their coffee table as you made your choice, and I watched as images of the two of them and screenshots of their conversation spilled out. Emily trembled as she shook her hands to grab it. Under her breath, she asked, "What are you going to do?" As her eyes welled up with tears. Responding in a level voice, I mentioned that I had previously initiated the divorce process. Plus, your partner is yours to keep, but everything else is yours to go. I looked over at David, whose face had taken on a sickly green hue. Our assumption is that they have a zero-tolerance stance on fraternization, so we wish you the best of luck in explaining this. I then strode away, leaving them speechless. Our dog, who was one of the few innocent parties involved, was given full custody in our quick divorce, and I was also given full ownership of the house and car. After HR received an anonymous report, David was let go from his work, and Emily had to quickly find a new place to live, her reputation in shambles. I escaped to a warm place, far from the chaos she caused, on the first weekend after we finalized our divorce. As I relaxed with my drink in hand at the beach bar, feeling the warm rays of the sun on my face, I suddenly felt lighter than I have in years. At that moment, I realized I had broken free from the chains of deceit. Emily may have broken our life together, but she had also set me free to start over, better equipped with wisdom and strength. As far as I am aware, Emily and David's romance ended when they were confronted with the realities of life. After causing so much harm, she returned to her parents' house and he moved out of state, both of them haunted by the pain they caused. I had climbed out of the debris, unharmed and determined, while their world had crumbled around them. Getting even with someone isn't always about inflicting misery. Sometimes, it's about finding a way to go on and succeed in spite of the treachery. I did that very thing.